All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is try to draw the different characteristics on the graph. Okay, so I have a vertical asymptote. I have a horizontal asymptote. Okay, I have a x-intercept. Oh, let's make that. Oh, there we go. I have a y-intercept. All right. And then I have a hole, but I don't really know where to put it besides that it's somewhere on this vertical placement here. Okay, so now that I have a lot of these things drawn, I notice that there's only one vertical and one horizontal, which means it's going to look like the parent function. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and start placing my factors based on the characteristics I have. So I'm going to switch to blue so we can keep track. And I'm going to place a factor for the vertical asymptote. Okay, and then I'm going to place a factor for the x-intercept. And then I'm going to place the factor for the hole. Notice as I'm doing these things, okay, I need to make sure that the y-coordinates are actually working. Now I can see that this is balanced, but I'm going to go ahead and put my a value in front because that's what's going to stretch the coordinates so that the y values match. Now I know, okay, that if I multiply this out, okay, I can see that it's balanced, okay, and that the leading terms of the top would be ax squared over x squared. But look at this. That means that this has to equal -3. So a is -3. So I can go up here and I'm just going to bloop. I'm going to erase that and I'm going to put in the -3 here. And I'm going to put a little check mark. Okay. Now, let's say that that was a little bit tricky. Okay. So I'm going to erase the leading term information. And I'm actually just going to use another point and I'm going to substitute and solve. So I can put a -6 in here. I can leave the a value. All right. And I can plug in 0. Okay, I can plug in 0 up here or here. Right? You can always plug in any value to find the a value. So we end up with -6, -4a over -2. Okay, so that reduces to +2, and then I divide, and I get the a value is -3. So look at this. Either of these things can be used to find the a value. All right, so now I'm just going to erase this stuff here, okay? And we have our equation, all right? And let's go ahead and check the y-coordinate of the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and write the reduced version. Okay, and I'm going to plug in -1. So I get -5. So -1, -5. Now, if I'm thinking that this could look like the parent function, that means that we've got standard form, we have factored form, and I could do transformation form. I'm just doing this to check to see if everything's working, just to make sure. Okay, so it reduces by 1. So this was x, so now it's number and remainder. So this is 6 over x minus 2 minus 3. Now, that makes sense. So it's in the bottom left and the top right. And if I were to do the domain, it would be all real numbers. X cannot be -1 and 2. The range, y cannot be -5 and -3. Okay, let's clear it up, and I'll do one more example for you. Ooh, this one looks super tricky. Okay, so I am going to start by just draw a graph that has the following properties. Okay, ooh, so we've got a vertical asymptote at 2. Okay. Have a vertical asymptote at -4. Okay. Horizontal at 0. Okay, we have a hole at -2, -1. We have a y-intercept here. Okay, no touch the x-axis. Okay, let's place our factors. None, right? There's no factors on the top, but maybe there's an a value, right, for a potential stretch. So now I'm going to add my factors. Okay, but there is a hole at x plus 2, so I better put that here. Okay. All right, there we go. So now what I'm going to do is there is no other factor up here besides the one for the hole. Okay. Now I am going to write the reduced version down because I can use a simplified version to find things, and I'm going to solve for a. You can use any of these points. It won't matter. So I'm going to use the one with the 0. Okay, I'm going to cross multiply, so I get +8 equals a. So my equation that I'm graphing, because I already know where those points are, is this with an 8 on top. Okay. I'm going to check the hole. I'm going to try -2. Oh, it does work. Okay, good. So it's working. Notice that this is bottom heavy, so my y values work. All right. So when I'm writing my equations here, I start by placing all of the x factors, and then I check the ones that deal with the y values here. Okay, so this is it. This is the reduced version because there's the hole. Now, this says that f of x is positive. So let's figure out what do we get here. So I've got positive, negative, negative, which makes positive. So, whoop, top left portion. No touching. Notice that these are all linear factors, so it is going to switch, right? Has to go down here. Now, we have the next, okay? So we're down here. It means this is going to have to come up. I could test the sections. All right. But look, top left, middle, top right. Nice job. All right. So let's see if we want to do another question here. All right. So here is a question. And it says, write the equation. So I'm going to start by placing the factors that I see. Okay, so I'm going to identify my vertical, and I've got an x-intercept, and I see a hole. Now I can't really tell this coordinate here, but it looks like it's between -4 and -5. So I'm going to leave that off, and I'm going to see if I can come up with it. I do, however, see a y-intercept, and all right, let's do it. Place our factors. X minus 2. That's for the x-intercept. X plus 1 for the whole. Okay, and x minus 1 for the vertical asymptote. So vertical asymptote, whole, and x-intercept. Okay, and I'm going to put my a value here because I don't know what the stretch is, but I can use any of these points to find it. Now I've already used this one, and this one. So you're going to have to pick something else. I'm going to go with 0, -6. Okay, I'm going to plug it in. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so my a value is -3. Look at that. It would be balanced, quadratic on the top, quadratic on the bottom. So that works, and that works. Okay, now, just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and label this y-coordinate of the whole. So I'm going to use the reduced version. Okay, y equals, so we get 9/2 negative. That makes sense because it looked like it was between -4 and 5. All right, now I'm going to do this a different way. Okay, what if you notice that this is, it kind of looks like a parent function, right 1, down 3. And I'm looking at this, and the stretch appears to be 3. So y equals a, x minus 1 minus 3. Now I can solve for the a value here. Okay, it might be different than the a value that's in the standard form. Okay, which is fine because they're in different formats, means these a values are going to be different. So I'm going to plug in this y-intercept, and I'm going to solve. Okay, so I'm going to add 3. So I get 3. Okay, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to write 3 in. Okay, so I solved for the a value of 3. All right, so I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to add them up by doing a common denominator. Okay, 2 fractions, 2 numerators. Y equals -3x, that's plus 6 over x minus 1. Now that I have this into standard form, I can go and I can look at the whole, and I can write the factor in. That gives me the whole. Notice here that this beginning piece can actually have the -3 factored out. What? Same equation. Nice job.